Guys, thanks very much. I want to check in. First of all, some poll results are coming in. Indiana, most of the counties are closed there. We have no results yet in from Indiana. You can see 0%, 0%, but we should be getting some results coming in from Indiana very soon. All of the polls in Indiana won't close until 7 p.m. Eastern. That's at the top of the hour. Remember, 11 electoral votes in Indiana, which is turning out to be a key battleground state. Kentucky, not so much a key battleground state. Right now, only a few polls results are in. Less than 1% of the precincts have reported in Kentucky. McCain had 59% to 40%. These numbers are just coming in right now. They're going to be changing dramatically. Happening now, the counting has begun. Polls are now closed in parts of Indiana and Kentucky. Half an hour or so to go as the polls close in some key states. The returns could forecast what kind of night this will be. In fact, let's take a look at what we have. Already some numbers coming in from Indiana, where a lot of the precincts are closed. About 1% of the precincts have reported so far. Obama ahead 56% to 43%. He's up by about 2,000 votes. In Kentucky, less than 1% of the precincts are closed. McCain maintaining a pretty impressive lead, 62%, 36%. But remember, this is very, very early. Vermont, Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia, Indiana, and Virginia. Stand by for that. Although most of the precincts have already closed in both Indiana and Kentucky, very early numbers are already coming in. You see them changing even as we speak. In Indiana right now, with only 1% of the precincts reporting, 51% for Obama, 48% for McCain. Very, very early. McCain doing much better in Kentucky as expected. 66% so far from McCain, 33% for Obama. He's 3,600 votes ahead. Only 1% of the precincts reporting. And CNN can now project that in Vermont, as expected, Barack Obama will carry that state. In New England, 3 electoral votes. Barack Obama, we project, will win in Vermont. At the same time, John McCain will carry Kentucky once again as expected. 8 electoral votes. Not a huge surprise on either Vermont or Kentucky. We are not able to make a projection in the 4 other states that are closing all their polls at this hour right now. And some of them are battleground states: Georgia, Indiana, South Carolina, and Virginia. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be close or not close. The reason why we cannot make projections sometimes is because we simply don't have enough information, and we're not simply going to rely on the exit poll numbers that have come in. Exit poll numbers are pretty good, but they're not always perfect, so we're going to wait to see the real numbers come in before we make a projection in these 4 states. We're watching Indiana very closely because that's turned out to be a battleground state. And Virginia, Indiana and Virginia, as you know, they have not gone for a Democratic presidential candidate since 1964 when LBJ carried those states. So those are going to be very, very important in the early understanding of what's going on in this historic day in the United States. All right, guys, thanks very much. I want to take a look at these 2 states right now. Indiana, about 120,000 votes have already been counted in Indiana. 4% of the precincts have now reported. Look at how close it is. 50% for McCain, 49% for Barack Obama. Only a difference of 1,255 votes. So it's close. We don't know which of these precincts have reported yet what part of the states, because some parts of the states are more Democratic than other parts, some more Republican. But it's close with 4% of the precincts now in. As far as Kentucky is concerned, 10% of the precincts have now reported. And Senator McCain, we've projected he's the winner in Kentucky with 52%, 47% for Barack Obama. He's almost 8,000 votes ahead. This is with 10% of the precincts having now reported. So it's still very, very early. But based on the exit polls, based on the real numbers that are actually coming in, we've projected that Kentucky is going for John McCain. Vermont, as we noted earlier, we've projected that Vermont is going for Barack Obama. And we're getting some new numbers right now. Take a look at this. In Virginia, we can now project that Mark Warner, the Democratic former governor of the state, will win, beat Jim Gilmore, the former Republican governor of Virginia. This is a pickup. It's the seat that John Warner, the longtime Republican senator from Virginia, no relation to Mark Warner, has vacated. But Mark Warner, a very, very popular former governor of Virginia, and now Virginia will have a sitting Democratic governor, Tim Kaine, who's long supported Barack Obama, and two Democratic senators, Mark Warner, once he's sworn in, and Jim Webb, who won back in 2006. So that's for a supposedly reliable Republican or red state. That's pretty impressive that now both senators, the incoming senator and the current senator, the incumbent senator, are both Democrats, as well as the sitting governor, Tim Kaine of Virginia. All right, we're counting the votes. They're coming in here to the CNN Election Center. We're taking a look at Indiana right now. About 7% of the precincts have now reported. This is a key battleground state. Look at how close it is right now. Senator Obama, 50%, Senator McCain, 49%. And you can see we're doing the math for you, 3,434 votes. Obama ahead of McCain right now. More than 200,000 votes have been counted in Indiana. 7% of the precincts are in, 11 electoral votes at stake. In the other key battleground state, the polls have all closed in Virginia right now. About 1% of the precincts are in. Senator McCain with 55% to 44% for Senator Obama. He's ahead by about 2,670 votes. You see, we're doing the math for you here as well. This is very, very early in Virginia. Both Indiana and Virginia, we're not in any position to make any projections for right now. We're watching the votes as they come in, but they're going to be coming in relatively quickly. These are two important battleground states that could set the tone for what could be happening later tonight. All the polls in Florida won't close until 8 p.m. At the top of the hour, but a lot of the polls have already closed in Florida, and so they're giving us their numbers so far. Less than 1% of the precincts have reported. Senator McCain slightly ahead. This is very early, 54% to 46%, a difference of 6,575. But as I said, this is very, very early in Florida. We'll see how close this contest is. All the polls in Florida, out in the western part of the state in Pensacola, Panhandle, they're not going to be closed until the top of the hour, so we can't make any projections there. In Indiana, all the polls have closed in Indiana. About 9% of the precincts are now reporting. Senator McCain slightly ahead by 2,276 votes, 50% to 49%. And you can see about 260,000 ballots have already been counted. In the key battleground state of Florida, 27 electoral votes. They haven't closed all the precincts in Florida yet, the western part of the state, but the state is already reporting some numbers. You see about 130,000 or so ballots have already been counted. Right now, with less than 1% of the precincts reporting, McCain with 54%, Obama with 46%, 11,137. That's the difference. This year, as you can see, we're doing the math for you, so you don't have to worry about that. In Virginia, where the polls closed at 7 p.m. Eastern, the 2% of the precincts have now reported. McCain ahead, 53% to 46%, but this is very, very early. You see that he's ahead by 4,387 votes. In another battleground state in Indiana, where the polls closed at 7 p.m. Eastern, right now we have McCain with 51% to Obama's 48%. He's up by 8,619. John McCain. That's with 12% of the precincts reporting, 11 electoral votes at stake in Indiana. 7:30. Right now it is 7:30. Right now, 3 more states are closing their polls: North Carolina, Ohio, and West Virginia. And if it were a blowout or whatever, we'd be able to make a projection right now, but we don't have enough information to make any projections in these states. North Carolina is clearly a battleground state. Ohio, remember, no Republican has ever been elected to the White House without carrying Ohio. That state is now closed its polls. And West Virginia, we're going to watch all of that closely. Let's update you on what we know so far. Florida, all the polls in Florida will close at the top of the hour, but as of now, with those precincts, about 1% reporting, McCain with 34%, Obama 48%. It's a 39,713 advantage for Barack Obama right now in Florida. We're watching this race closely. Virginia with about 3% of the precincts reporting. McCain with 56%, Obama 44%. It's slightly ahead for McCain right now. In Indiana with 14% of the precincts reporting, 52% for McCain, 47% for Obama. McCain ahead with 16,812. 14% of the precincts just changed, 52 to 47 in Indiana. I think we're going to have to check those Florida numbers. If something's not looking right if you add up those percentages. All right, guys, thanks very much. I want to update our viewers on what we know right now. These are not exit poll numbers. These are real numbers, real ballots that already have been counted and have been released by these respective states. In North Carolina right now, less than 1% of the precincts have reported. Right now, Senator McCain with 48%, Senator Obama with 51%, only a 439 vote advantage for Senator Obama. But remember, it's very, very early in this race. 15 electoral votes in North Carolina. Florida, we fixed the technical problems we had. These are the latest numbers coming in from the state of Florida. 2% of the precincts reporting Obama ahead, 57% to McCain's 43%. That's 151,000 advantage for Barack Obama. You can see we're doing the math for you to make it relatively easy. Those are 27 electoral votes in Florida at stake. All of the polls in Florida will be closed at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Eastern. In Indiana right now, almost 20% of the precincts have closed. That's a significant number. McCain ahead slightly, 51% to 48% for Barack Obama. 17,000 just changed, 406 votes difference, an advantage for Senator McCain in Indiana. And the popular vote right now with about 1% of the precincts reporting nationally in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, the numbers that have come in so far. Right now, Obama with 51%, McCain with 48%. It's a 64,251 advantage for Senator Obama. About 2 million votes have already been counted nationally, but it's very, very early. Election night in America, and we're here at the CNN Election Center. We want to welcome back our viewers in the United States and around the world. Let's update you on what we know. These are real numbers coming in to the CNN Election Center in Florida, key battleground state. All the polls aren't even closed in Florida yet. They'll be closing at the top of the hour in the western part of the state. But right now, 4% of the precincts have already reported in. As you can see, Senator Obama ahead 55% to 45%. He's ahead by 143,000 votes so far. North Carolina, under 1% of the precincts reporting. Senator Obama slightly ahead there. It's very, very early in North Carolina, 50% to 49%, 15 electoral votes at stake there. In Indiana, significant number of precincts already have reported, 21%, and Senator McCain slightly ahead, 51% to 48%. He's ahead by 16,239 votes, 11 electoral votes in Indiana. And in Georgia, only 1% of the precincts have reported. Senator McCain has 70% so far to Senator Obama's 29%. We're watching Georgia closely. It has 15 electoral votes. All right, Campbell, here we go. CNN now projects that South Carolina and its 8 electoral votes will go to Senator McCain, even though he's down with 1% of the precincts reporting. Based on the information that we have, the exit polls, as well as other information coming into the CNN Election Center, John McCain, as expected, will carry South Carolina and its 8 electoral votes. That, as I said, was fully expected. We're getting ready, by the way, the top of the hour. Several states are going to be closing, 15 states and the District of Columbia. Here's what we have right now. If we add up the red states, Kentucky and South Carolina, that adds up to 16 electoral votes so far for John McCain. Vermont up in New England has 3 electoral votes. We've projected it will be going for Barack Obama. Those yellow states are still up in the air. We don't have enough information to make a projection in those states right now. And CNN can project winners in several of those states. In fact, 8 of those states we project will go for Barack Obama. Take a look at this. we project that Senator Obama will carry the state of Massachusetts with 12 electoral votes. That's fully expected. We also project that Senator Obama will carry his home state of Illinois, 21 electoral votes, fully expected. Connecticut will go for Barack Obama, 7 electoral votes. New Jersey, as expected, will go for Barack Obama, and it's 15 electoral votes. New Jersey, widely expected. Maine, there are 4 electoral votes. We're projecting that 3 of those 4 electoral votes in the state of Maine will go for Barack Obama. Maine, one of 2 states that could divide up their electoral votes. Nebraska, the other state that divides up. All the others are winner take all. In Delaware, we project that Barack Obama will carry Joe Biden's home state, 3 electoral votes in Delaware. In Maryland, 10 electoral votes. Barack Obama will carry Maryland. And finally, the District of Columbia, and 3 electoral votes. Barack Obama takes Washington, D.C. We project that John McCain will carry 2 states so far that have just closed, Oklahoma, and its 7 electoral votes. Oklahoma going for John McCain, and Tennessee, 11 electoral votes going for John McCain. We project those 2 states. Now, there are 6 states that have just closed their polls. We cannot make any projection in right now. Those states are Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania. Florida, Missouri, New Hampshire to a certain degree, and Pennsylvania, those all are considered battleground states. We don't have enough information yet to make a projection in those 6 states. But based on what we have projected so far, right now, Senator Obama is ahead with 77 electoral votes. The blue states are his, 34 for John McCain. The red states are his. The yellow states, the polls have closed in those states, but we have not yet been able to make a projection in those states. In Florida right now, with 15% of the precincts having already reported Senator Obama maintaining his advantage, 55% to 44%. It's just changed, actually, 55%, 45%. He has a 316,150 advantage over Senator McCain in Florida. Virginia right now, almost 20% of the precincts have reported, 56% for McCain, 43% for Obama. He's ahead by 66,000, McCain, in Virginia. And in North Carolina, about 2% of the precincts have now reported very early, 62% for Obama, 38% for McCain. Very, very early in North Carolina. That's a battleground state with its 15 electoral votes. Let's update you on what we know right now. Here are the votes as they're coming in, with all these states now having closed. In Ohio, less than 1% of the precincts have reported. Obama ahead 68%, 67% to 32%. But remember, this is very, very early in Ohio. 20 electoral votes at stake. In West Virginia, Obama 56%. to McCain's 43%, but once again, less than 1% of the precincts have reported, so it's very early in West Virginia. In Georgia, 4% of the precincts have reported, McCain with 63% to Obama's 36%, very, very early in Georgia, and it's 15 electoral votes. And in New Hampshire, only 5% of the precincts have reported, 57% for Obama, 42% for McCain. New Hampshire has four electoral votes right now. Let's go to Florida. Already 30% of the vote of the precincts in Florida have reported, and Senator Obama maintaining an advantage, 53% to 47%. He's up by 251,332 votes. 30% of the precincts, Florida, critical number of electoral votes, 27 at stake. In North Carolina, another battleground state, right now only 5% of the precincts have reported, 58% for Obama, 41% for McCain, an advantage for Obama of 172,720. But remember, that's early, only 5% of the precincts are in. 35% of the precincts have now reported in Indiana, and McCain maintaining a slight advantage, 51% to 48%. He's up by 37,130, 11 electoral votes in Indiana. And in Virginia, almost 30% of the precincts have now reported in Virginia. Senator McCain maintaining an advantage, 56% in Virginia to 43%, up by 107,000 votes or so, 13 electoral votes at stake in Virginia. And CNN can now project that New Hampshire will go for Barack Obama. New Hampshire, this is Obviously very, very painful for Senator McCain because he desperately wanted New Hampshire. That's where he really got going in his bid for the Republican presidential nomination. But based on the exit polls, based on the actual numbers coming in, CNN projects that New Hampshire and its 4 electoral votes will go for Barack Obama. 9% of the precincts have reported. Right now, Senator Obama has 60% of the vote in New Hampshire, 39% for Senator McCain. That's an advantage of 14,397, under 10% of the precincts reporting. As I said, this is a state that Senator McCain really wanted to win. He was very sentimental about all those town hall meetings he did there in jump-starting his campaign early on after Iowa. But New Hampshire will go for Senator Obama. All right, so thanks very much. I want to take a look at some numbers coming in, ballots coming in some Senate races that we're watching very closely. Let's start in the state of Virginia. We've already projected that Mark Warner, the former Democratic governor of Virginia, will win this contest against the former Republican governor, Jim Gilmore. 59% so far for Warner, 39% for Gilmore. 36% of the precincts in Virginia have reported. This is a pickup because Warner will replace John Warner, the Republican, no relation, as the next senator from Virginia. In Kentucky right now, with 39% of the precincts reporting, look at how close it is. The Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, with 51%. Bruce Lunsford, the challenger, 49%. Very, very close. We are in no position to make a projection in Kentucky. This is one race that the Democrats have worked very hard to capture. Mitch McConnell fighting for his political life right now. In North Carolina, look at this, 8% of the precincts have reported. Kay Hagan has been challenging Elizabeth Dole, the incumbent Republican. Kay Hagan ahead by 57% to 40%, but only 8% of the precincts are in. Kay Hagan making a very, very strong challenge. Elizabeth Dole fighting for her. Guys, thanks very much. Let me update you on these votes that are actually coming in from these battleground states, including in Florida. Almost 40% of the precincts have now reported in Florida, and Senator Obama continues to maintain his advantage, 52% to 48%. He's up by 178,000 votes in Florida. 39% of the precincts have reported. We'll walk down to North Carolina right now. 12% of the precincts have reported. Senator Obama ahead here as well, 56% to 44%. Ahead by 166,598. In Pennsylvania, it's still very, very early. The numbers are coming in slowly, but they'll pick up very, very quickly. The polls closed there at 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Less than 1% are in. Only about 12,000 votes have been counted so far. 65% for Obama, 34% for McCain, a difference of 3,900. In Texas, the polls won't all, in the entire state, won't all be closed until the top of the hour, 9 p.m. Eastern, but about 3 million votes have already been counted in Texas. 51% so far for McCain, 49% for Obama, but only 1% of the precincts in Texas have been counted. We're going to continue our coverage, but first we have a projection. And this is a big one. CNN now projects Pennsylvania and its 21 electoral votes will be going for Senator Obama. This is a projection that the Obama camp desperately wanted, and the McCain camp desperately tried to secure Pennsylvania. It's a very, very important win. Even though Pennsylvania usually goes Democratic, Senator McCain made a major effort over these past several months to try to win Pennsylvania. But unfortunately for Senator McCain, it wasn't to be. We project right now there will be a new senator from the state of North Carolina, and that would be Kay Hagan defeating Elizabeth Dole, the incumbent Republican. This has been a fiercely fought battle in North Carolina. But Kay Hagan, a longtime Democratic legislator in the state of North Carolina, going forward and defeating Elizabeth Dole, a former cabinet secretary, the wife of Bob Dole, John King and Campbell. You're there. A huge, huge loss for the Republicans. Another Democratic pickup in the U.S. Senate. CNN's ready to make another projection right now. In the state of Alabama, we project that John McCain will carry Alabama. They closed almost an hour or so ago. Only 1% of the vote is actually in. Obama's slightly ahead right now, but that's only 1%, very early. But based on a lot of information that we're getting right now, including the exit polls, Alabama and its 9 electoral votes will go for John McCain. That's something that was fully expected, by the way. That's not a huge surprise. And with the polls closed in these states right now, we can make these projections. Barack Obama will carry these 5 states. Rhode Island, Barack Obama wins, will take the 4 electoral votes. That's not a surprise. Michigan, McCain basically gave up there a few weeks ago. Michigan, 17 electoral votes for Obama. Same for Wisconsin and its 10 electoral votes. Wisconsin will go for Obama. So will Minnesota and its 10 electoral votes for Obama. And New York State, 31 electoral votes. Not a surprise, but that's a bonanza of electoral votes going for Barack Obama. John McCain will carry Wyoming and its 3 electoral votes. That was expected. And North Dakota and its 3 electoral votes. That will go for John McCain as well. We are in no position right now to make projections in these battleground states, including John McCain's home state of Arizona. We don't have enough information for Arizona and Colorado, Kansas, and Louisiana, as well as no projections for Nebraska, New Mexico, South Dakota, and even Texas, although that doesn't indicate that just because we're not able to make a projection that it's going to be close. It only indicates that we don't have enough information right now. But based on the projections that CNN has already put forward over the course of the past couple hours, right now, Barack Obama has a steady lead of 174 electoral votes. Those are the blue states that you see. 49 electoral votes for John McCain. Those are the red states that you see. The yellow states are where the polls have closed in those states, but we have not yet been able to make a projection. The other gray states out there are states that haven't seen their polls close yet. All right, we're ready to make another projection. 2 more projections right now. 2 more pickups for the Democrats. In New Mexico, Tom Udall, the Democrat, will be elected the next senator from New Mexico. And in New Hampshire, in a fiercely fought battle, Jeanne Shaheen, the former Democratic governor of New Hampshire, she manages to beat John Sununu, the incumbent Republican. That's a pickup. 2 more pickups. By my count so far, we've projected 4 more pickups for the Democrats. They had a 61 majority, considering the 2 independents in the Senate, Bernie Sanders and Joe Lieberman, vote by and large with the Democrats. These 4 more pickups that we've projected so far, that would bring that 61 up to 65, and that's getting 51 up to 55, getting very close to that 60 filibuster-proof majority that the Democrats would certainly love to have. But Jeanne Shaheen, we projected, will be the next United States Senator from New Hampshire, and Tom Udall will be the next United States Senator from New Mexico. His cousin, Mark Udall, is running in Colorado. We'll see how he's doing, but that's a pickup for the Democrats in both New Mexico and in New Hampshire. CNN now projects that the state of Georgia will go for John McCain. 15 electoral votes in Georgia. John McCain, the winner, with 36% of the actual vote now in. John McCain has 61% to 38% for Senator Obama. He's ahead by 241,000 to 38,000 right now. We're doing the math for you. 38% now the precincts have reported. But Georgia, which was a sort of a long shot for the Democrats. They had some hopes in Georgia. They thought maybe a huge African-American turnout could get them the state, but it was always a major, major challenge for Senator Obama in Georgia. They did make an effort there, but in the end, we now project that Georgia will be going for Senator John McCain. It's another win for him. Take a look. Let me walk through and show you what we have in these votes that are coming in. These are actual votes with 3% of the vote now counted in Missouri. 56% for McCain, 43% for Obama, but it's very early. In Texas, only 3% also have been counted, 52% for McCain, 48% for Obama. In Ohio, that's a key battleground state, 8% of the vote in Ohio is now in. No Republican has ever won the White House without Ohio. Obama is ahead right now, 57% to 42%. He's up by almost 200,000 votes in Ohio, but only 8% has been counted so far. And in Florida, almost half of the precincts have now reported in Florida. 52% for Obama, 48% for McCain, almost a 200,000 margin for Barack Obama in Florida. That's a huge prize, 27 electoral votes. A lot of people do not see how John McCain can be elected without Florida, but we're watching it. We're watching the votes coming in. Almost half of the precincts there have been counted. And here's another one, a major win for the Republicans this time. In the state of Kentucky, the incumbent Republican Mitch McConnell, the minority leader in the U.S. Senate, we project he will defeat Bruce Lunsford and get reelected in the United States Senate. Right now, with 65% of the precincts reporting, he's slightly ahead, 51% to 49%. That's 23,517 advantage for Mitch McConnell. But based on the exit polls, based on other information that's coming in, where this vote, the actual vote, is coming in, we are now ready to project that Mitch McConnell has been reelected in Kentucky. He was in a fierce battle for his political life. Bruce Lunsford put on a very strong challenge, but in the end, Mitch McConnell will go forward and carry his own state. CNN now projects that West Virginia will go for Senator McCain. 5 electoral votes in West Virginia. 22% of the vote has actually been counted in West Virginia. 53% so far for McCain, 46% for Barack Obama, 11,240. That's the advantage he has. But based on our exit polls, based on the actual numbers that are coming in, where they're coming in from that state, it's another win for Senator McCain. The 5 electoral votes from West Virginia going for Senator McCain. Senator McCain, however, is not doing well in several other states, and a big loss for him. Earlier tonight, we projected Pennsylvania going for Senator Obama. That's a major setback. We're going to update our viewers on what we know right now. These are real votes. 70% of the precincts in Virginia, that's a lot. They've already reported their numbers, and look at how close it is. Wow. 50% for McCain, 49% for Senator Obama. That's only a difference of about 15,800. Now it's smaller, 12,519 for McCain. 71% of the precincts in Virginia have reported. Almost half of the precincts in North Carolina have reported. Look at how close it is here in North Carolina. 51% for Senator Obama, 48% for Senator McCain, and that's about an 80,000 advantage for Senator Obama. North Carolina closed at 7:30. We're watching that. Florida, another incredibly close state right now. 55% of the precincts have reported. 51% for Barack Obama, 48% for John McCain. That's not much of a difference, only 170,588 votes in Florida. That's a big prize, 27 electoral votes. And in Ohio, 15% of the precincts have reported. 56% so far for Senator Obama, 43% for Senator McCain. That's a lead of almost 200,000 for Senator Obama in Ohio. Ohio, CNN now projects the state of Ohio will go for Senator Barack Obama. Look at this, 20 electoral votes. Barack Obama desperately was anxious for Ohio, and as we say, we've said it many, many times, no Republican has ever been elected to the White House without Ohio, and now this Democratic presidential candidate will carry the state of Ohio. That's a huge win, like Pennsylvania, but even more important because Pennsylvania has gone Democratic in recent contests, including 4 years ago and 8 years ago. Despite Republican wins, Ohio, much more important for Barack Obama right now, with 16% of the actual vote now in. Obama, 55%, McCain, 43%, 55-44, it's just changed. Almost 200,000 advantage with 16% of the win in, but it's a huge win. Some more projections coming in to the CNN Election Center right now. New Mexico, 5 electoral votes. We project Barack Obama will carry New Mexico. He worked hard there. So did Senator McCain, but New Mexico will go for Barack Obama. Louisiana, we project will go for Senator McCain. Those 9 electoral votes in Louisiana will go for Senator McCain. 13% of the precincts have now reported in Louisiana based on the actual numbers as well as the exit polls. We say Louisiana, its 9 electoral votes will go for Senator McCain. Let's take a look at if you look at the race to 270 right now, 199 for Obama, 78 for Senator McCain, 270 the magic number. The blue states, the Democratic candidate, the red states, the Republican candidate. The yellow states, those are states where the polls have closed, but we are not yet able to make a projection. The white states, still those polls haven't closed there yet. The popular vote right now, look at how close it is with about a quarter of the vote now in. Look at this. 49% for McCain, 50% for Senator Obama. Almost 40 million votes are now have now been counted, and there's only a difference, an advantage for Senator Obama of 320,000 votes. Wow! Look at how close that is, that popular vote right now, with only with some 23% of the vote actually tallied. It's very, very close. And we can make these projections now that the polls have closed in those states. Iowa, a huge win for Senator Barack Obama. This is where it all started for him when he won the Iowa caucuses. 7 electoral votes. Senator McCain made a fight in Iowa, but Senator Obama will carry Iowa. Utah, it's a win for Senator McCain. Those 5 electoral votes in Utah. Utah was never, ever in doubt. It's a very, very red or Republican state, and as a result, Utah will go for Senator McCain. So will Kansas. It's a traditionally Republican state as well. 6 electoral votes. Kansas, with 15% of the vote already counted in that state, that will go for Senator McCain. There are no projections we can make right now in Montana and Nevada. We're going to have to wait till more votes come in, and then we'll be able to make a projection in those states. Here's the current map based on all the projections we've made so far over the past few hours. Senator Obama has 206 electoral votes. Our projection to 89 for Senator McCain. Remember, 270. That's the number. He's getting very, very close to that 270. The blue states are Senator Obama's states. The red states are Senator McCain's states. The yellow states are states that have closed their polls, but we haven't been able to make a projection yet. These other West Coast states, they haven't closed their polls yet. California and the others will be closing their polls at the top of the next hour, 11 p.m. Eastern. And CNN projects that Arkansas will go for John McCain, and at 6 electoral votes, Arkansas widely expected to go for the Republican candidate, and it does. 13% of the precincts in Arkansas have now reported in, 55% for McCain, 43% for Barack Obama. So Arkansas, put that in John McCain's column right now. We're expecting some more projections. They're coming up, some important ones as well. Stay with us. Our coverage will continue right after this. CNN projects the state of Texas will go for John McCain. It's a big win, Texas. 34 electoral votes. The state of Texas, with 33% of the actual vote in Texas now counted. 34%. It's just changed. 54% for McCain so far, 45% for Obama. But based on our analysis of the exit polls and the actual numbers coming in, where they're coming in from, these 34 electoral votes in Texas will go for John McCain. And we can make another projection right now in Mississippi. the state of Mississippi, and at 6 electoral votes, John McCain will carry this southern state of Mississippi. Almost half of the votes now have been counted in Mississippi. 57% so far for McCain, 43% for Barack Obama. It's a significant advantage in Mississippi. This was widely expected that Mississippi would, in fact, go for John McCain. It has, but it's still, as we've been saying, an enormous uphill struggle for John McCain. If we get the map up and show the tally right now, the electoral votes. So what's on the map right now? We see that John McCain has 135 states that we've projected he will carry. 207, though, for Barack Obama. Those are the blue states. The yellow states, we have not yet been able to make a projection. And these white states, they haven't closed those polls. Anderson, thanks very much. I want to update our viewers on 4 very important Senate races that are going on. As important as the race for the White House is, obviously, that's very important. Control of the Senate and the House of Representatives also important. The Democrats will retain their majority in both, but how big of a majority will they have? Let's go to Georgia first. Right now, the incumbent Republican Senator Saxby Chambliss, he's at 56%, to Jim Martin, the Democratic challenger, at 40%. That's with 75% of the vote in. We haven't projected a winner in Georgia yet. And remember, if one of these candidates does not get over 50%, there has to be a runoff in the state of Georgia on December 2nd. But right now, Chambliss with 56%. Minnesota, that's another race we're watching. Norm Coleman, the incumbent Republican, has 40% so far to Al Franken, the Democratic challenger, the former comedian, with 43%. 13% of the vote has been counted so far. There is a third-party candidate, the independent Dean Barkley, a former senator. Let's go to Mississippi right now. This is the seat that Trent Lott vacated when he gave it up. So far, with 56% of the precincts reporting, Roger Wicker, the incumbent senator, he was named to replace Trent Lott, has 56%. Ronnie Musgrove, the former governor, the challenger, the Democrat, has 44%. We haven't made a projection there yet. In Louisiana, there's a Democratic incumbent, Mary Landrieu. She's seen as the only Democrat this time who was even vulnerable by all of the estimates. Right now, with 62% of the precincts reporting, she has 50% to John Kennedy, the Republican challenger, 48%. We have not been able to make a projection in Louisiana. And this is a big one. Senator Barack Obama will carry the state of Virginia. This is an important win for Senator Obama. 13 electoral votes, 92% of the precincts in Virginia have now reported, and Senator Obama will carry the state. Right now, take a look at the actual vote. 51% for Obama, 49% for McCain. He's up by 61,820. That's with 92% of the precincts. Virginia, it hasn't gone Republican in some 44 years, since 1964. That was the last time Virginia went for a Democratic presidential candidate. It was for LBJ back in 1964. But now Virginia and its electoral votes, we project, will go for Barack Obama. And CNN can now project that Barack Obama, 47 years old, will become the president-elect of the United States. We project he now has enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th president of the United States. This little-known U.S. senator, only a few years ago, seemingly coming out of nowhere, delivering the Democratic Convention keynote address back at the convention in 2004, all of a sudden taking off, becoming a United States senator from Illinois, and now he will be the first African-American president of the United States. This is a moment so many people have been waiting for, and they're really excited, especially in Chicago. Let's listen in for a moment. First of all, with the popular vote. Let's take a look at the popular vote right now, with 65% of the vote now in throughout the United States. So far, Barack Obama has 51% to John McCain's 48%. It's an advantage of about 3,099,000. That's with 65% of the vote in. As important as the popular vote is, it's not important enough. This is a really important vote, the Electoral College vote right now. And by our projection, Barack Obama already has 338 Electoral College votes. John McCain, 155. You need 270 to be elected president of the United States. He has more than 270. All those blue states are states that Barack Obama has won. The red states are states that John McCain has won. The yellow states are states that we still cannot project a winner in those states, including in Virginia. Including in North Carolina, in Indiana, Missouri, and Montana. Alaska, they haven't closed the polls yet in Alaska, but we're expecting that state will wind up for John McCain. Let's update you now on some of these close Senate races that we've been watching. In Georgia right now, look at this. Senator Saxby Chambliss, he's slightly ahead, 51 to 46% over his challenger in Georgia, Jim Martin, 46%, 97% of the vote in. Remember, this is a state where you need to get a majority of more than 50% in order to be elected. There's a third-party candidate there. If he stays at 51%, and it looks like he might, Saxby Chambliss would hold on to that seat. That would be very important for the Republicans. In Minnesota, Norm Coleman slightly ahead of Al Franken right now with 71% of the vote now in. There is a third-party candidate in Minnesota as well, Dean Barkley, the independent candidate. You don't need a majority in Minnesota, so if Coleman holds on to that 43% to 41% lead, he would be reelected in Minnesota, but it's not over with yet. They still have lots of votes to count. And take a look at this. In the state of Oregon, it's been really, really tight. Gordon Smith, the incumbent Republican, he's slightly behind Dean Merkley, the Democratic challenger, 41% of the vote in, but it's obviously still early. Plenty of opportunities for those numbers to change. We'll watch those closely. I want to show you some other races that right now, Elizabeth Dole, the Republican senator, she loses to Kay Hagan right now with 99% of the vote in, 53% for Kay Hagan, and that's enough. Look at John Sununu. He loses in New Hampshire, the incumbent Republican, to the former Democratic governor, Jeanne Shaheen, with 72% of the vote now in New Hampshire. In Kentucky, the Republican incumbent, the minority leader, Mitch McConnell, he manages to hold on and win and get reelected in a relatively close race. Bruce Lunsford losing. In Colorado right now, Mark Udall, a congressman, he's going to be elected. The senator, that's a Democratic pickup, replacing an incumbent Republican who decided not to run again. And in New Mexico, his cousin, Tom Udall, he's going to be elected as well, another Democratic pickup. That's the seat that Pete Domenici gave up in New Mexico. And in the state of Maine, there will be the Republican incumbent, Susan Collins. She will stay in. She has been reelected in Maine. And in Louisiana, the Democrat incumbent, Mary Landrieu, she had a very tough race from John Kennedy, but she manages to hold on as well with 52%. In Mississippi, Thad Cochran, the incumbent Republican, he holds on, wins relatively easily there, as you can see. So it doesn't look like the Democrats are going to be able to get up to that 60 majority, filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, because these vulnerable Republicans, several of them, as you just saw, managed to hold on. But there will be a significant pickup in the Democratic majority. Right now, it's 51 to 49. And it's going to go up, the balance of power. We're going to take a look at that. I'm Wolf Blitzer here at the CNN Election Center, together with the best political team on television. I want to update you on some important Senate races. We have not yet projected winners in these Senate contests, but we'll update you on what we know. In Georgia right now, the incumbent Saxby Chambliss facing a tough challenge from Jim Martin, the Democrat, right now with 97% of the vote in. Chambliss with 51%, Martin 46%. You need in Georgia more than 50% in order to win. If it's under 50%, they have to have a runoff election in December. Right now, Chambliss is ahead. It's looking pretty good for him right now. We'll continue to watch Georgia. The Democrats were hoping for a pickup in that state. We don't know if that's going to happen. In Minnesota right now, it's extremely close between the incumbent Republican Norm Coleman and the challenger Al Franken, the former comedy writer and comedian. It's only 7,653 votes apart, 42% for each of these candidates. There's a third-party candidate, Dean Barkley, an independent candidate running on the Independence Party. He's getting some votes as well. We're watching this race very closely. It doesn't get much closer than that. In the state of Oregon right now, the challenger, Jeff Berkley, is slightly ahead of Gordon Smith, the longtime Republican incumbent in Oregon, 48% to 47%, but only about 9,000 votes separate them. Only 42% of the vote in Oregon has been counted. Remember, these are paper ballots. Mailed ballots in Oregon. They do their elections. They're voting via mail, and they got to count a lot of ballots right now. We'll see what happens. We might not know for a while who's going to be the senator from Oregon. And in Alaska, they just closed the polls a few minutes ago at the top of the hour. The longtime incumbent Ted Stevens facing a very strong challenge from the Anchorage Mayor Mark Begich, but none of the votes have been tallied yet in Alaska. We're watching all of this very closely. Let me go back to Minnesota because we've included the third-party candidate, Dean Barkley. He's actually a former United States senator. He was named to succeed Paul Wellstone. Jesse Ventura, the former wrestler, he was then governor of Minnesota, named Dean Barkley to the U.S. Senate for a couple of months. He's getting about 15% of the vote. I don't know enough about Minnesota politics to know if he's taking votes potentially away from Norm Coleman, the incumbent Republican, or Al Franken, the challenger, but he's got 15% there, so he's doing relatively well for a third-party candidate. It's going to be very, very close. You see the numbers changing right now. Coleman ahead by about 10,000 with 82% of the precincts, and we're watching this race very, very closely. As of right now, it looks like the Democrats have increased their majority in the Senate by at least 5 seats from 51 to 56. It doesn't look like they're going to get to that magic number of 60, which is the filibuster-proof majority in the Senate, but we'll watch it together with you.
And we should point out, I mean, Ted Stevens, 49% to 46% against Democratic challenger, with 37% of precincts reporting. I mean, it is a small lead, only some 4,360 voters. Ted Stevens has been convicted of crimes. You were talking earlier about some of these ballot initiatives. We have some of them on the board. I just want to show our viewers as you kind of talk a little bit in California, Proposition 8. Right now we're looking at 53% voting yes on it, 47% saying no, but again, 32% of precincts reporting. In Florida, ban on gay marriage, Amendment number 2, yes, 62%, no, 38%. With 98%, though, we still have not been able to call that officially, I believe. It's 60% threshold, so we're still waiting on that. In Arizona, Proposition 102, the ban on gay marriage, that we've called yes, 56%, no, 44%, 91% of precincts. And in Arkansas, as you said, Hillary Rosen, ban on gay couples adopting children, yes, 57%.
Welcome back. We're here at the CNN Election Center. I want to show you the numbers right now. 87% of the precincts in the United States, all of the United States, have now reported. And look at this. Barack Obama with 52% to 47% for John McCain. He's ahead right now by 5,600,000 votes, but still 13% of the vote remains to be counted, 52 to 47%. Well, look at the Electoral College. This is the all-important numbers that you have to see. 338 we've projected electoral votes for Barack Obama to 160 for John McCain. To give you some perspective, remember, back in 2000, George W. Bush was elected president with 271 electoral votes. He was reelected in 2004 with 286 electoral votes. Right now we have Barack Obama with 338, and there still are a few states that are still up in the air. We're watching those states very, very closely. Before I go over to John Kay, I want to show what's going on in these 4 Senate races that we're watching very closely. I'll begin with Georgia right now. 98% of the vote has now been counted in Georgia, and Saxby-Chambliss is ahead 50% to 46%. Look at that 50% number. It's very important because in Georgia, if you don't have a majority, you have to have a revote in early December. So that's why we're looking at this so closely, and we can't project a winner if he doesn't get that majority. He's not going to be reelected yet. He would have to have a revote, a revote in early December against Jim Martin, the Democratic challenger. Look at how close it is in Minnesota right now. 95% of the precincts have reported 42 to 42. 42% for Norm Coleman, the incumbent Republican. Al Franken at 42%. Coleman is ahead by only 1,409 votes. The third-party candidate, Dean Barkley, with 15%. You do not need in Minnesota a majority to be elected. Still 5% of the vote outstanding. In Oregon, this is a very close race as well. The incumbent Republican Gordon Smith with 47%, the challenger Jeff Merkley with 47%. But right now, with 45% of the vote counted, Gordon Smith is ahead by only 471 votes. Wow, this is very, very close. And in Alaska, almost half of the precincts have been counted. The incumbent Republican, the convicted felon, Ted Stevens with 49%, to Mark Begich, the mayor of Anchorage, 46%. Stevens is ahead by 4,443 right now, even though he was recently, in recent days, convicted of 7 felony counts of concealing funds that apparently he received. At least he was convicted of gifts, in effect, for remodeling his home out in Alaska. But he's ahead by 3 points right now, 49 to 46%, but almost half of more than half of the vote still remains to be counted.
CNN is ready to make another projection. This in the state of Indiana, a state that has been solidly Republican since 1964. We are now projecting that Barack Obama is the winner of Indiana, 50% to 49%, a very, very close race, which is why it's taken this long for a projection. 23,347 votes ahead. So Barack Obama putting another 11 electoral votes in the win column. What's really significant about this turnaround in fortune for the Democratic Party is that in 2004, George Bush won this state by 21 points, 60 to 39% over John Kerry. So again, Indiana, another one in the Obama win column, a total of 11 electoral votes, 23,347 votes, the margin of victory there. Kieran?